Welcome to Watch It or Don't. I'm Matt with Tom and Dan, and today we're reviewing the film Room, starring Brie Larson. It was a book which we got in the screening, which is fun.
Yep.
I'm probably never going to read it because the movie, from what I've heard, is pretty accurate to the book.
Yeah,
I've heard the book is great.
Yeah, maybe.
it's a bestseller. I think a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Mhm. But it's a story about a woman and her child living in a room with only one window because they've been, well, the mother was kidnapped at a very young age, and this boy's only existence that he's ever known has been living and growing up in this room, and he is pretty much the main character in this film
through his eyes,
right? And we get to just see how he looks at the world, which is hilarious and also very sad.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good film.
Yeah, it's directed by Lenny Abrahamson, who directed Frank last year. It's very different than Frank, but
Very different.
It's Brie Larson, you mentioned, is the main protagonist, and she is great. I think people who have been watching Brie Larson have known she's a good actor, but a lot of people just kind of know her from like 21 Jump Street or something, and she's awesome in this.
What a segue.
She's like heartbreaking and funny, and you see her side, but you also see her flaws.
Mm-hmm.
I think Oscar nomination for Brie Larson.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it already.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
I mean, she always does really solid work too. So I mean, I really love Brie Larson. If you ever saw Short Term 12,
Yep,
but she just has this so likable kind of everyman type thing going, and it fits so perfectly in this movie because you know she was a normal person and then her life got turned upside down and stuff. So it's very easy to connect with her.
Yeah, and the actor playing the young boy, I don't remember his name exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But he's a newcomer, and a lot of times kids at this age can be very annoying and grating and not very consistently in acting, but he was
great.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think he'll be in a lot more stuff after
I'm
this.
sure.
I was kind of surprised how funny it was for such a depressing,
It is.
dark.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a dark and sad setting, but there were parts like, this is really funny.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of that has to do with that childish innocence that
Right.
He doesn't realize that living in one room, not knowing the outside world exists. I don't think he realizes the tragedy of that.
Or the
And
difference
he's
between...
like 5 years
Yep,
old in this.
turns 5.
I don't want to spoil too much of the movies. I think it is interesting. I think
It is.
we should see it.
Mhm.
This movie has 2 different parts to it.
Yeah.
I like the first part a little better, and the movie splits the parts right down the middle.
Yeah.
Pretty
Right,
much.
that's what it's an hour for each, which I think is fair.
And I think I would have preferred either the first part to be longer or shorter. I feel like I got a weird amount of time in there. That might be just me.
Yeah,
but
I think they split it the way they should have. I understand because I agree the first part is better. It's more tense. It's different from kind of what you.
And I was going to say, we shouldn't talk about the 2 parts, because you can tell in the trailer.
Let's not spoil anything. People haven't seen the trailer,
Okay.
maybe. There is a kind of almost a climax in the middle of the movie, and I thought that was great.
It was great. Don't watch the trailer, because I watched the trailer after we watched it.
I'd say go into this cold.
I definitely think that was a good idea.
The
But
second part makes sense for the characters, and it's very realistic, and I appreciated that. Just as a movie-going experience, it wasn't as enjoyable or interesting as the first part.
Yeah, it's weird because you get pretty much all the tension in the movie in the first half, and then you get, I wouldn't say more of an emotional core, but you just focus more on the emotion because you do lose that tension.
It's almost like in Game of Thrones, episode 9 is like the big set piece, then 10 is like just kind of wrapping things up. But
yeah,
it's a bad analogy.
Yeah, you just thought this turned into the Game of Thrones review. Okay.
But all in all, I think it was actually a really skillfully made movie. I think that the editing was very smart about kind of utilizing the reasoning.
And it's good at making you feel very claustrophobic in a small room,
which it should.
And it is a very small room.
Yeah,
and I've always felt this way with certain movies that are in confined spaces. I think this would make an okay play. Don't you think you could see this in a stage production? I could for sure. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean it is a very kind of disturbing movie because of the general plot, but it's very endearing.
It is.
You get to see kind of some of these really sweet moments between Brie Larson and her child, and even the little lies that she tells him about the world.
To protect him.
Yeah, to protect him, and because he wouldn't understand at that age. They're very silly, when taken out of context and stuff, but they make sense, and they're very, very sweet, very tender. You know.
Should we jump into ratings?
Yeah.
Probably should.
I can go first. I'm giving this a 7.9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. First half is the better part for me, and I don't know. The second half I appreciated but didn't like as much. I think this is a movie that works as a great book, and they basically translate it to a movie, and it works because the story's good. I don't necessarily think it's a great movie because of that, though. So I'm good at 7.9.
You want to go?
Yeah. This one gets a great from me. Like I said, Brie Larson is just such a likable, relatable person, and that really translates on screen, even when she's kind of a less glamorous character,
right,
you know.
Right.
And like I said, I thought it was very skillfully directed and edited and acted, and it's just. I don't know. It was really good.
I'm giving it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
Which is high for me. I went in cold, and it exceeded my expectations just from what I'd heard of it. And I think it's one of my favorite movies that we've seen so far this year, to tell you the truth.
I should say it won the audience prize at the Toronto Film Festival this year.
It's really well acted. I disagree with you. I love that the time was split perfectly.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't really think it did a lot wrong. The only thing I was trying to think of why I wouldn't give it the 5 is that maybe that it's selfish that why I wouldn't give it the 5, but it is so sad and like touching. Yeah. I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to go through that again, to tell you the truth. Yeah. But you should watch it for sure.
Yeah, see Room. It's in select theaters coming out this week, I think.
No, not till November 6th.
We saw it really early.
It is in select theaters in some cities.
Okay.
Right.
But when it comes out, I'm sure it'll be up for some nominations for Oscars.
Yeah,
should be.
Really.
Go see Room, especially for Brie Larson.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to go. We're Watch It or Don't. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.